Here we're going to talk about lowest terms, sometimes also called simplest form or reduced form. And where this is going to come into play is when you're doing a problem on the test that involves fractions and you go through, you do all the math, and you get to your final answer and it's in a fractional form. But when you look at the choices, your choice isn't one of the answers. You may have the problem correct, but you just haven't put the fraction in lowest terms. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. So, for example, if you have a fraction 2/6, what lowest terms means is that the numerator and the denominator, they cannot be divided evenly by the same number. When that happens, you are in lowest terms. But here we see our numerator is 2, our denominator is 6, and so both of those numbers can be divided by the number 2. So if we divide this by 2 and divide the denominator by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, what we get is 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 2/6 in lowest terms is 1/3, because now you see that you have 1 and 3. Those numbers cannot be divided by the same number evenly, aside from 1, and 1 doesn't count. So this fraction is in lowest terms. Now what is this really saying? Because we're saying, 2/6 is equal to 1/3. Let's say we had a pie. And we're going to divide it into 6 parts. So we're looking at this fraction, 2/6. We have 6 parts, and for this problem, we're going to color in 2/6 of them. So 2 of the 6 pieces of the pie are colored in. So here we have 2/6 represented in this drawing. Now let's take these lines out. So now we only have 3 pieces of the pie, and one of them is colored in. So now it's 1/3. So 2/6 is really the same as 1/3, right? We didn't color in any more spots on the pie. So 2/6, when we put it in simplest form or in lowest terms, it came down to 1 out of 3, or 1/3. And so that's really what we're doing here, is just taking fractions, getting them into kind of the lowest numbers that we can. But these are actually equal. 2/6 is the same thing as 1/3, as shown here. So if we take a fraction like 24/36, so we need to know, okay, well, what number will be divided into both 24 and 36 evenly? If you don't know how to do that, you'll want to watch the video on divisibility so you can more readily know what numbers will divide evenly into other numbers. So you should know that 24 and 36 can both be divided by 2. So we're going to divide by 2. So both the numerator and the denominator we have to divide by the same number. So 24 divided by 2 is 12. 36 divided by 2 is 18. So now we look at this fraction. Is this in lowest terms? Or can we divide something into both of these numbers evenly? Well, for 12 and 18, we can divide both of those by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So now we have 6/9. Is that in lowest terms? Well, we look at 6 and we look at 9. Both of those numbers can be divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now we're at 2/3. Is that in lowest terms? there's no number that you can divide both into 2 and into 3 evenly. So this is the answer. So your answer in lowest terms is 2/3. 24/36 is the same as 2/3. 2/3 is just in lowest terms. So if you drew a pie, divided it up into 36 pieces and colored in 24 of them, and then erased all but so it was in 3 pieces, you'd have 2 of those covered. But there's lots of numbers you can choose to divide into initially. So let's say, so there's lots of ways to do this, is what the point I want to make to you. Let's say instead of 2, you recognize, hey, I can divide both 24 and 36 by 4. Okay, so divide by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Is that in lowest terms? No, because we can divide both 6 and 9 by 3. 2/3. So again, we got 2/3. We got the same answer, even though we started out by dividing by a different number. Let's say 24 over 36. Let's say right away you say, hey, both of those can be divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 36 divided by 6 is 6. Is that in lowest terms? Well, no, because both of them can be divided by 2. And we get 2/3. Again, same answer. We took different routes, so there's really no one way to do this. Whatever occurs to you first, just keep going until you get to lowest terms. Now, the fastest way would be if you look at these two numbers and you say, you know what, both of those can be divided by 12. 24 divided by 12 is 2. 36 divided by 12 is 3. So if we recognize, a higher number, we get there quicker. But it really doesn't matter. However you get there, you just need to get there. And so keep working until you get to the fraction that is in lowest terms. We'll just do one more, since we've been doing a lot of even numbers. I just want to show one more. Let's say we had 15/80ths. And we say, okay, well, what number will divide into both of these? Not 2, because 2 doesn't go into 15. So we can say, how about 3? Well, 3 doesn't go into 80. Again, this is where you want to watch the divisibility video so that you can more readily know what number is going to go into both of these. So when you watch that video, you know that 5 will go into any number that ends in a 5 or a 0. So we'll divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 80 divided by 5 is 16. So now we have 3/16. Is there any number that you can divide by 3 and can divide into 16? No, there's not. So this is the final answer. This is in lowest terms. Even though this seems like a big number, 16, this is still in lowest terms because there's no number that will divide evenly into both 3 and 16.